7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. My name is Bill Parmentier of W. Parmentier Photography.
I'm Justin of Justin Kerr Design.
And I'm Alicia with the Spark Social.
And together we make up
The Marketing Essentials team.
So today we are going to be talking about social media analytics.
Yes, data and analytics. So I think people don't look at the data enough. We live in a digital world, right? So there's so much data that's being collected. I think that consumers are, rather the marketing experts out there and the business owners who are using social media and digital need to pay attention to the data that's being collected, and they can use it to their advantage, right?
Absolutely.
What would you say to small business owners that they have their social media set up and they have the data available to them, but it can be intimidating because it's one thing to look at the numbers, but it's another thing to know what to do with those numbers.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It can be overwhelming. It can be intimidating. How much time do you spend looking at the data? Because, right, there's endless amounts out there.
You could spend 40 hours a week just looking at data.
Yes, you could. So I guess
Can we clear this up? Because I had this conversation with somebody the other day. I'm sorry, I'm really pulling this off. Is it data or data?
Is it tomato or tomato?
Well, I believe the correct pronunciation is data, but data has become popular because of the mispronunciation that was popularized during Star Trek: The Next Generation series.
Oh,
So it's
data.
data.
Data is, according to what I've read, the correct.
Like I said, it was more of a squirrel.
But yeah, I don't think we're getting any angry emails if we say it one way or another.
I've just always wondered if I was saying it right.
Whether you read your data or data, they're both important.
Right.
But there's a lot out there because in a digital world, everything is being tracked. And with AI, which is artificial intelligence, even more data is becoming available to marketers and business owners and able to see what your prospects, your customers are doing online to make, and if you use the data and the insights right, you can use that to make your marketing better. So real high level, I just want to do like a quick overview what I want to touch on today. Okay. And when it comes to social media, even without going into the paid side of social media, there are page insights and things you can look at on your social media platforms, all of them, that will allow you to be a better marketer on social media. So that's kind of what I want to highlight today.
Okay.
All right. So this is going to be useful for small business owners that have their social media up and running. They have the data available, and you're just going to give them sort of the highlights of, okay, here's what to look for, and here's what to do with it.
Right.
So we're going to go on the assumption that they already have a pixel set up, the whole 9 yards on there.
Actually, I'm not even going to get into the pixel today.
Okay.
Unless you want to.
No,
which is, for those who are uninitiated, the pixel is Facebook, right?
Correct. A Facebook pixel is a piece of code that can go on your website and track who is coming to your website, and you can use that to retarget people and learn more about the audience that you have on your website.
We can always get to that another time.
So we're actually going to look at the data analytics that are already baked into
Facebook
itself?
Facebook
and Instagram?
Yeah. So this is just, you don't have to do anything to set this up. If you have a Facebook profile, an Instagram profile, even LinkedIn or Pinterest for business, they all have these analytical back dashboards that are available to businesses. So you don't have to do anything to set this data up. It's already there if you already have a business profile.
That's great.
So
cool stuff.
And, I talk a lot about Facebook and Instagram, but LinkedIn and Pinterest they're leveling up. Like they're trying to meet Facebook where they're at in terms of giving business owners insight as to what is happening on their pages. So those are to be mentioned, honorable mention for LinkedIn and Pinterest on their data too. But okay, so where do you start, right? You have a Facebook page. The first thing you can do when you have a Facebook page, and what I'm going to do for this podcast is give everyone a rundown on how to find this stuff. So you should be familiar with that Insights tab on your Facebook page, or if you run a group, the Insights tab will bring you to a back-end dashboard where you can see things such as your audience age, where they're located, gender, and the times of day that they're frequenting social media. So this is going to help you.
Quite a bit of stuff.
It is, right? And that's just this is right in the Insights tab. So actually we can pull one open here. Let's look at the Marketing Essentials Facebook Insights. Is that a good example?
Sure.
We
I
can
guess
talk
we
about-
probably should do a screenshot and add it to the.
Oh, absolutely. We will.
Yeah, we'll
the
make
notes.
sure that there's some screenshots. Actually, Alicia said she can do a quick little video just to show everybody,
Oh, nice.
you know,
Okay.
what to look at and where to go to see these
That works for me.
data or data
Data.
points. yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to be sorry. I mentioned that, aren't I?
No, it's a good
Data.
question. It's a good question.
I forget. I was actually having that conversation with somebody the other day, and I can't remember who it was.
So right now
My
I'm
brain.
looking at our data on the Insights tab on Facebook, and I can see how many people have liked the page. I can see how many people are engaging with our posts. I can see, and this is in the past 7 days or 28 days, I can see how many people have viewed our page and how many people have seen, or how many, the reach, I guess, the quantitative, like total of how many people have been touched by a post that we've put out there. Now, what do you do with this data, right? Because there's a lot of numbers, and like we said, you can spend all the time in the world just digging through data when it comes to the digital tools out there. With Facebook, I like to look at what post did the best that month. So why would you want to do that? So you can,
Obviously, you would do that so you know what people are getting engaged with,
correct.
especially with what we're doing within our group. We may do different posts that are in marketing, but 2 different areas or 3 different areas we're talking about. So there may be somebody that's really more interested in visual marketing or whatever it happens to be, and that's going to tell you, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at,
I'm learning something.
I like to do, yeah, you
It's always a
nailed
good
it on
day
the
when you
head.
learn something.
Yeah. So if you see what posts are
Once a
doing
year.
well, then you can replicate them and you're learning more about what your audience likes. So on the Marketing Essentials podcast Facebook page right now, I'm looking at the past 30 days here. Michelle Girasoli, did I say that
Girasoli.
right? Her post did really well. So she resonates with our audience, or the topic did, or there might have been a lot of shares on that. So you can go into the post and see what the actual
So
interactions
that's
were.
the actual podcast itself is probably what was hitting, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
it was
I'm not
a
looking at
post
but-
about the podcast that Michelle did with us on email marketing.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of shares, I would imagine. That's my
Yeah.
guess, but
So you can go into that data, and if you see that a lot of people are sharing it, then you can try to replicate that experience again. We also did a post that tagged a lot of people to highlight some of the past podcasts that we did, and that post did really well. So now that gives me an indication that tagging people can help us. So
Sure.
we should probably be doing that again.
hey, go figure. Funny how that works, huh?
And then we have a picture of the 3 of us, and we did a 1-year celebration. Oh, it's a video, actually, a little slideshow.
Is that the one where Justin
Yeah.
sprayed us with champagne?
No, this is the slideshow you put together, Bill. So this is telling me this
Oh,
one
it's the slideshow I did.
Yeah,
That's
this
right.
one did
I remember that
really,
one.
really well. It's actually the top performing post in the past 30 days
Oh, sorry.
by about like triple what our usual reach is. Like our usual reach is like 1 to 200. This post was around 700 reach, and the
Power of
engagement
video.
was super high. So
Now, in
I'm
the-
going to need more of those slideshows, Bill. That's what
no
this
problem.
data is telling me.
Well, the
I'm all for it. Let's
slideshow
do it.
was basically just
All of our guests.
images of all the guests we've had on, thanking them, and it included their name with each face that came up. So my guess is that everybody that was on then shared it on their network, which gave it an extended reach.
Let's see, we can go in there and we can see. So it had, let's see. But so just an example, the data that I'm using here is it took me 2 minutes to click on insights on my Facebook page for the business. So if you were a business owner, you would do the same thing. And you can just look what worked. And so let's see, number of shares here. We had 8 shares. Okay, now load it. 8 comments and 24 likes and a lot of clicks. So that's why, and then the algorithm comes into play. So Facebook is like, oh, people are liking this. People are engaging with this. Same thing on Instagram. I'm going to show this to more people because Facebook wants something, and Facebook and Instagram being
Engagements.
co-owned. And so the similar thing on Instagram, if there's a lot of engagement on a post, the algorithm is going to start putting it in front of more people. So this took me like 2 minutes to go in and have that light bulb moment that we need more content like this, probably tagging people, more of the slideshow type of thing. So I guess our intern can make some slideshows for us, right?
We're gonna have to come up with some pictures or something soon. 'Cause
We have plenty of pictures. So
we're an audio podcast. Where am I getting all this from?
no, pictures of, and so from the data side though, look at these numbers. But for ideas, we'll talk about that off the air. We'll come up with some ideas, Bill. So this seemed, and there are other videos on our page, but this one did well. So I'd like to replicate this.
Sure.
Now, moving on to other data that you can look at on your Facebook and Instagram page and insights is I can see here what times of day the posts do well. So for us, posting anywhere from like 9 a.m. to about 6 p.m. with a little bit of a peak around 6 p.m. is the best time for us to post. Now, I've been kind of posting our podcast in the morning. Maybe I should try releasing them at night. Maybe I should look at our data more.
See that, or we post them in the morning and then again at night.
Yes, exactly. So there's not a big difference for us. So I wouldn't say that it's like it would make a huge difference. But for some business, so we manage within our social agency about 20 something, 30 pages we have the back end access to. And sometimes there are spikes, like restaurants will spike towards the afternoon and evening as people are making their dinner like plans and stuff like that.
Well,
So
let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
So you were just saying that you post our podcast in the morning. Maybe we should try them in the afternoon to see if there's any difference. What would you say is a good length of time to be able to see, okay, is it making a difference? I mean, I'm assuming it's more than just, if you're posting something every day, like how many days or how many weeks should you give it to see that there's enough data to tell you, oh, it does better in the afternoon?
That's a great question. Is there enough data? I would say give it like a month. Facebook operates on a 28-day window for reporting on the Insights tab, which I'm going to show you guys in a screenshot. So I would say give stuff a month before you can rule it in or out.
Now, is that a rolling 28 days or is it just
Rolling 28.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's always like goes on and on, so it's including.
Gotcha.
But I would say, even though I think that's a good standard, 2 weeks minimum when you're testing to look back at the data for almost, if you're trying a new type of post, posting at a different time of day, you don't want to try something for like a week and then roll it out because you're not going to have enough data to compare it to your past metrics.
Sure. That makes sense.
So what other metrics do we have back here? You can see things like I said, you can click on each post and open it up and see number of likes, number of clicks on the post, shares, comments, things like that. Now, also in the back end, you can tell there's a tab called post types. So if you're doing something that has a photo or a video or a link or just a plain old status, you can see which ones do best. Now, interestingly enough, photo is the highest reach on our page. It's probably because we don't do tons of video on our page. Even though that video posted really well, photo is the top performing post overall on our page. So maybe we should try some more video and see if we can change that up, the slideshow.
Could be fun.
Yeah, so just some stats and data you can look at there. What else can you see? Audience. I'm trying to find our audience tab now. So you go to people and you can see exactly who your fans are. Guess what age group our fans mostly fall in, guys?
I would say 40s.
25 to 44 is our biggest bulk.
Okay.
That's a pretty big range.
That is a
though.
huge range.
Yeah.
When I was thinking 40s, I was thinking...
Can you adjust the range or does it preset ranges for age?
On the insights organically, no. The brackets are 25 to 34, 35 to 44. I laugh because I'm going to have to move to the next bracket next year. Darn.
Justin and I are already in the bracket of people that aren't listening to our podcast.
Yeah. We're in the bracket that's on the ice flow that's heading out to sea. Yes.
No, your bracket is doing fine. It's here.
We got 3 listeners, me, you, and one other guy.
Let's see. So, and then the 18 to 24 is low. Our fans are not, business owners aren't typically 18 to 24. Also, Facebook is less, sorry, Will, our intern is probably that 0.5% in that age group that we have. And they're also on channels like Instagram more frequently than Facebook these days. So that makes sense. But
that's another interesting piece of data is if you're a small business owner, and I think we've talked about this in other podcasts, should I be on Facebook? Should I be on Instagram? Should I be on both? And because Facebook does sort of skew to a certain age demographic and Instagram to a different one, what's your general advice?
Well, I think that, we can look at the data that Facebook, Instagram, or any of these social profiles give us, but you can also collect data offline. So think about who your customer is offline and then take it online instead of like relying on Facebook and Instagram to tell you your age group. I think just use Facebook and Instagram and social profiles to reconfirm the information. Like, so if a lot of people already know who their customer is or they have a good idea, then go on Facebook and Instagram to reconfirm and see like, okay, I was right. 25 to 44 is my age group on Facebook, and I am getting, 18 to 35 on Instagram. But if know who your customer is before you even go online, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. All right. So not using the analytics to tell you who your audience is, but to confirm
that you got it right.
That you got it right. Okay. That's a good point.
Now, it's also interesting, correct me if I'm wrong, you can pull a lot of Instagram analytics right into Facebook's analytics, or they're starting to become more, I'm not sure the word to use, but more in touch with one another. Detail, because Facebook owns Instagram, correct?
Yeah, it's weird that Instagram actually, it's like, why wouldn't they have everything available on Instagram that they have on Facebook? I don't know. I don't work at Facebook, so I'm not sure why the analytics and data that you get for your Instagram business profile is not as good as Facebook right now.
I think Instagram's kind of catching up on a lot of things. It's weird. Like one of the surprising things that have actually started to jump for me, and I don't want to get too far off track, but 360 photos have started to become a big thing for me now.
Oh, cool.
I have more and more people asking for them. And interestingly enough, you cannot post a 360 video or photo onto Instagram.
You can't. Yeah, no, just Facebook.
Just Facebook.
And you can only do it in the feed. You can't like make it your profile picture.
Correct. And you can't make it
do
part of stories
ad.
either.
Yeah.
If you make it as a story, it flattens out the image.
So there's limits.
There's a lot to catch up.
Yeah, there's limitations, and you're just like, why Facebook? Why?
Well, you would think if they're all talking to one another, you would think by now they'd figure it out. But hey, what do I know?
I don't know. Maybe they work in different
Someday when I
buildings.
meet
The
Mark
Instagram
Zuckerberg,
people
I'll-
don't talk to the Facebook people. They don't sit together at lunch. No.
It's the cool kids versus the nerds.
I would
It's like
love to
the,
see that cafeteria.
It's like the left Twix and the right
Right
Twix
Twix, they don't talk
building.
to one another.
Yeah, they don't.
So I'm actually
Okay, if you're hearing this, Mark Zuckerberg, please listen to us and make it.
give us more data.
We need it.
So I would say on the Facebook side and Instagram side, take like the end of the week or even every other week if you're super busy. We do it all the time for our clients. Like we're always digging into this stuff because we're monitoring the page. But we do a deep dive once a month and we pull a report for the client and put together all their metrics. Like these are your top performing posts. If we're running ads, we can look at like what specific age group is liking that ad and reacting to that ad. We look at the overall page and let them know what age group and gender they're reacting with. You can see what countries people are coming from. So if you're a local business and you're getting a lot of likes from like Japan, you may have an issue there. I don't know. Maybe think about where these people are coming from. So I'm looking at our podcast, guys, and we have for cities, let's see, Providence is number 1.
surprise
Pawtucket,
there, huh?
Right.
Warwick. We got some Taunton friends. All right. Cumberland, that's you, Bill.
Yeah.
Shout out to EP.
Our whole one listener is me.
Seekonk and Meriden. Hi, that's me, Meriden, Connecticut. Maybe it's my mom. I don't know. And then we have one person
Hi, Alicia's mom, if you're listening.
one person from India and one person from Switzerland and Guatemala. So I'm not too concerned.
Okay.
It looks like we're hitting our core
So they
audience.
was speak
I don't-
Farsi. It's not Farsi. What's the Indian language they use?
Where in India?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the part of India,
Yeah,
right?
there's
I
different
believe
dialects.
it's-
And I forget what it is now. For some reason, Farsi
You know,
keeps
I
going
don't
in my
want
mind,
to
but
say
it's not.
something and be stupid.
But anyway,
so I'm
yeah,
going to
I'm
pass
like
on
not
that.
cultured, so don't ask
Me
me
neither.
questions about others.
Several things ran through my head. I'm like, Urdu, no, that's not right. Hindi, no, I don't. So we're going to have to look this one up.
Well, anyway, I'm just saying, have we translated into that?
No,
language?
no.
Translate our
I
podcast.
didn't know.
We are
But-
not there yet.
But Alicia's
Yeah.
point is that we seem to be hitting our demographics because it's centered around
Well, it makes sense.
Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts.
Even the age demographics that she was just talking about, think about it. Most of your business owners are going to be within that age range. If they're younger, they're not thinking about starting a business at that point for the most part.
Right.
And then you start getting past the late 40s, and people are starting to really start to think about the tail end of their career, unless you're us.
So
Justin just gave me this look like, no.
No, I had a discussion this week with somebody about, careers and lifespans, and we decided that tail end of the career had a negative connotation.
Oh, is that why I get the
she
look?
suggested what'd she say? Third stage
Third
or
stage.
third act.
I know who you're talking about now.
Third act
Yeah.
of your career, rather than you're somehow in like the twilight of
Can
your.
I be in the intermission of my career?
Sure.
Take a break.
I mean, listen, think about it. I mean, I know we're getting a little off track here, but people are working longer and longer and longer. It's not unusual for someone in their 70s to be continuing or even starting a new career.
Yeah.
My photography assistant, he still works full-time days, and he's already past age to retire.
Right.
And
So
he
I
has no
mean,
intention
yeah, I
of
think the
retiring.
whole notion of like, oh, you're in the twilight of your career is nonsense. You can keep working until you drop over.
Who could afford
if
to
you're a
anymore?
millennial,
Who could
we're
afford to
gonna-
retire anymore?
Yeah,
anyway?
right?
right.
Especially in New England, where all our listeners are.
So back to the data.
yeah.
Should we cut that off?
I'll let you decide that.
This is a podcast about the golden years of living.
And Alicia's going, I'm not even close yet.
We're the golden
my
girls
group,
of marketing.
My millennial group, we're the old millennials. We're never going to retire. We're not getting anything. We're not getting any retirement benefits.
Social what?
So, anyways, there are a lot of jobs in data, guys, if you're looking for some extra.
Good job trying to pull us back in there, Alicia.
Well, no, the question that I wanted to ask you, because you said once a month you do a deep dive with your clients.
Yeah.
And, we talk to a lot of small business owners, and there are a lot of DIYers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if they wanted to do a deep dive to really look at the numbers, what kind of time commitment are we talking about?
30 minutes, an hour. Depends on how many social media channels you have. I mean, a whole nother side of it is website analytics and stuff like that, which we'll get into at another point. If you're running a podcast, you have analytics there, so there's data everywhere. There's data on every single thing you're doing online. So if you're running paid campaigns, you can break it down to like per campaign. But I think just for like the organic side and the overall just profiles, half hour tops.
Each week or each day?
At the end of the month, I think each week take like 15 minutes to go into the back end and just look what's working, because then that's going to allow you to produce some more content. If you see say that you have a regional business and you see that a lot of your activity is coming from one state, start tailoring some stuff to that state. So for instance, if it's a Massachusetts, Boston area, post some stuff about the Red Sox or the Bruins. I heard they're doing well. Like, I don't know. Are they?
Yeah, they're still doing well.
Okay. So, that's going to give you something that will allow you to resonate. Yeah, right. So that's the next thing. What do you do with this data, right?
Okay. So just looking at the data, maybe 30 minutes a week is plenty. Okay.
Yeah.
And
you can do it on your phone.
Okay. So that's great. So that's a pretty low threshold.
Yeah.
But then now knowing what to do with that. Okay, you've seen the data, you understand what the data is telling you, and now you have to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. So taking the data from beyond social media and you can apply it to your overall marketing. You can also just make sure you're resonating with your audience. So let's start with that. So you have certain age groups, you have people from certain locations, you have people who are interacting at certain times, all this in with certain types of posts. So try to create certain types of posts at the best time, and post for that audience. What stage are they at in life? Where are they located at? What are they resonating with on your social media profiles? And speak to that. I think a lot of times, if you go back to the Donald Miller, we're not the hero in our own story. Our audience is.
Right.
So use social media and that data to understand more about who they are and what matters to them.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you can apply this stuff offline too. So if you see that some type of content is doing well, you did a quick post on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn and you got a lot of likes or comments or shares, make it into a blog instead of the other way around. A lot of people spend a lot of time making these blogs and then they see that the content isn't taking off. So start with some snippets and see what people react to.
Sure.
And take that data from, come up with a whole bunch of blog topics, see what post does best.
Mm-hmm.
And then go into making a
I
blog
like
series.
that. It's like
Reverse
setting up a
engineering
little
it.
trial balloon there to see like what people respond to.
Exactly. So the data is there because LinkedIn will show you too how many people viewed a particular post and interacted with it. Even on your personal profile, you don't even have to have a business profile on LinkedIn to see that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm a LinkedIn flunky, I guess. I don't do well with LinkedIn.
the flunky.
Yeah, I just never was able to hook up to LinkedIn. I mean, I do it because I need to do it, but I was just, I don't know.
Yeah. And it can seem intimidating and overwhelming to get started on looking at these data and the stats there. But 15, 20 minutes a week, and you can do it all from your phone, because every social media platform has an app that you can go into. So I'll do like a screenshot from desktop and from like mobile, so you can see
Okay.
how to access it.
So yeah, I mean, so would you suggest at least picking one social media avenue at first to study the analytics on?
Yeah, that's actually a great
If
idea,
you don't have a
Bill.
ton of time, because I'm thinking, somebody may not have an hour and a half, 2 hours a week to, do Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
And it could be cumbersome at first to navigate through if you're new to finding like the
Yeah.
dashboard and what to look for.
Mhm.
That's a great point. Start with the social media where you tend to be the most active.
Yeah,
And
that
look at
makes
the data
sense.
there. All right. What else do we want to say about data? Well, I think also applying it offline, looking at, what you can take to your other marketing. Blog was one example.
Okay.
But
You said offline now. Are you saying away from traditional online, like in-person meetings type of things? Or are you talking?
Yeah, I mean, if you see that some type of content is resonating or your audience is located in a certain area, maybe it's time to host a seminar about that event for that age group in that area.
Cool idea.
So look at it that way. If you're thinking about using traditional media, then look at what type of videos are doing well on social, and maybe do like a more professional video to host on your website, or even if you're doing, paid ads or TV, stuff like that.
So, sort of recapping what we've covered so far, 15 to 20 minutes a week to actually go in and look at your data on Facebook or Instagram.
That's roughly per channel, but yeah.
Per channel. Okay. So, and a channel is, Facebook's a channel, Instagram's a channel.
Correct.
But let's say, hypothetical small business owner, he's got Facebook as his main channel.
So yeah, 15, 20 minutes.
15
Half an hour
minutes
tops.
per week
Yeah,
to go in and
yeah.
look at the data and then be able to understand that data and say, okay, this is who my audience is. This is the kind of content that's resonating with them. They're responding to this kind of content. And so maybe I need to put out more of this kind of content. Oh, and they're really not responding to this. So
I can back away from
I can
that.
back away from that. So some pretty easy changes that you can make.
Yeah.
And it's not a huge time commitment.
No.
Now, some people still may be intimidated and go, ugh, I just can't be bothered. So what do?
Hire an agency.
I smell a plug coming.
I
on.
just
could be wrong.
I just gave Alicia a softball right
I know.
over the plate.
Right. I mean, so this is what we do. So for instance, like we have
Well, my follow-up was, okay, so what is the advantages of hiring someone like you versus doing it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, either way, if you have the time to do it, I think it's just good to be involved in your marketing. Even if you hire an agency, you should know these things, because interactions happen off of social media. So the more you know about your customers, it's just the better. You can't run a business and not be involved in the marketing. That's just not how it works. But if you hire an agency, they can, instead of you having to dig through these dashboards all the time, they should be sending you reports saying, these are the types of posts that worked. So we're going to find more for you like this. So for instance, we had a client who posted something that really pulled on the heartstrings. He went pretty much viral, and he was targeting the elderly. So what we did, we saw that this type of content worked really well. Like, he reached millions of people, and he's just a local business page, but he hit the nail on the head, and it was the simplest post ever. So what we did was we went out and we came out with a whole strategy of other things that would pull on the heartstrings and target that audience, the baby boomers who have aging parents or people who are elderly. And we were able to recreate the content and come up with a long-term strategy that resonated with his audience.
Nice.
So, and just in a disclaimer, just a quick note, this is just the organic data. This is just what you get on your business profile with Facebook and Instagram
Okay,
and
now
LinkedIn.
let's just take a minute to explain organic versus paid.
Right. So paid is the flip side. When you're doing ads, you get a whole new set of data. And I don't want people to think that I didn't touch on that, because it's as important too. However, we could do a whole nother podcast on
Sure.
paid data. So I just want to be specific that this is the organic, non-paid content data that you get from your Facebook.com Insights tab. And on your Instagram, you can go also, I believe it's called Insights. It's a little bit more watered down on Instagram. LinkedIn, you can see right on the post as well what posts are performing. It's your dashboard organically for insights, because paid is a whole nother side, a whole nother level of data. And believe it or not, on the paid side, you can learn more things about your audiences. There's more benefits to using paid, because you get a deeper dive if you set up your business manager. So for instance, if your page has, I think you have to have about 1,000 followers, you can start to see things like what political parties your followers align with, what sports teams they care about, and what searches they're doing on Google, what pages on your website they're spending time on. So this is that's a whole other side of data that I didn't get into today. But I mean, wouldn't it be cool to know like if they like the Red Sox or the Yankees, I guess?
Yeah, because then you could know whether or not to dump them as a client.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
You can know who you're going to offend before you post it.
There you go.
It's good to know you guys don't have a problem losing clients over something like
On
that.
the paid side, I actually had a client. So he has a good page, and he swore his customers were more. He had a political slant for his business, and to an extent, and I'm not going to get too much into the details, but he swore his customers were more to the right. We're looking at his analytics and we're seeing who his customers are following on Facebook and Instagram. And we're like, no, his customers are not where they thought they were at all. So that could be detrimental to his business because he's actually not speaking the same language sometimes.
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and not all businesses are political, but it's important. I mean, most businesses aren't political, but it's important to understand your audience. And
But
maybe
you could make a comment on your Facebook page that pegs you in a certain political realm, and that could hurt you if your audience isn't aligned with you politically or even socially.
Yeah, or it gives you an idea. Maybe I should just stay away from politics altogether, which we highly recommend most of the time. But it also it just gives you an idea as to say your audience is following a lot of professional speakers and John Maxwell type people versus your page might be following more like the Bruins and Tom Brady. And now you know that your page is more into the entertainment or versus a John Maxwell, Gary Vee, they're more into the entrepreneur, high level, business stuff. It gives you an idea how to speak to people.
Sure. Definitely gives you the insights into that. Yeah.
I'll show you guys an example of that because it is really cool stuff. But again, that is more on the paid side and the analytics.
And
on your
we can do
business
another
manager.
podcast on the paid side.
Well, we have touched it in the previous podcast, but it wouldn't hurt to go back again.
Right.
We talked about the whole paid Facebook ads thing.
So let me see if I can sum this up.
Yes.
Because if I can sum this up, that means
What are you going to do with your business page, Justin?
I was paying attention. No, that the importance of data has to do with knowing who your audience is. Okay, you have a social media channel that you're using to market your business. And if you don't know who your audience is, you may be marketing to the wrong people or you may be marketing incorrectly to your audience. So the data tells you who your audience is, what they're interested in, and what they're responding to what you're posting in your channel. And it just either confirms or it tells you need to make a change.
100% correct. I would say that social media is about being social, and that's about people. So the data with social involves with knowing your audience to the best extent possible. You sum that up perfectly, Justin.
Well, there
Yay!
You passed the quiz.
And with that,
Well, it's one of those things where
Quit while you're
if
ahead.
if I could understand this, then it was clicking. It was making sense.
All right.
gotcha.
So
I spoke to my audience correctly today.
Yeah.
Resonated.
all right. Well, thanks for walking us through all that, and we'll put some screenshots up in the show notes so people can see some of these places on the back end of Facebook that you were talking about and where they can access their data. And I guess that will wrap us up for this episode.
It does. It does.
Excellent.
So until next time,
Thank you.
Bye.
see ya. Thank you for joining us today. And as always, you can find the back episodes of our podcast on Apple Podcasts. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel. Both of them are the Marketing Essentials team.
You can find us on the web at marketingessentialsteam.com. And if you subscribe through our website, you'll receive a weekly email and letting you know when each episode has been published. Also, you'll receive a link to subscriber-only content.
You can also find us on Facebook and our private Facebook group. Just search Little Roadie Marketing Support Group. It's a great place for other marketing professionals and business owners where we can share marketing advice, challenges, and general trends. Hope to see you there.